Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Let's Get Spiritual. I'm your host, Rachel Lauren Stone. Today I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Do you constantly feel like you're not good enough? Do you feel that your work always needs to be absolutely perfect? Do you avoid taking on new projects because you fear failure? Do you find it difficult to accept praise? Do you worry about other people seeing your work and what they might say? Do you feel like you're acting a part and fear being found out? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you might be experiencing imposter syndrome. So, imposter syndrome is basically doubting your abilities despite evidence of your success and feeling like a fraud. And what I have learned is that it affects about 70% of us, according to research and some articles that I've seen. It's believed to affect both men and women, but I have definitely experienced it. You may be experiencing it, and I just want to shed some light on the topic and some ways that we can maybe move through this together. So, according to Liz Cashin, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, she published this article that basically kind of just gives a little rundown about imposter syndrome and what the 4 P's of imposter syndrome are and how they impact us and what we can do about them. And so I kind of want to just dive into that. The 4 P's. The first one is people pleasing. And this is the constant need for approval, which can hinder authentic expression and stifle individuality. And I can definitely, can I relate to this? I was a lifetime people pleaser. And oh my gosh, it's just, I can just feel it so closely. The aspect of the imposter syndrome that comes up for me, like when I think about this P, is just the like undying approval from other people. So much so that I would neglect myself and my own authenticity and was more concerned about how I show up to other people, like what other people are expecting of me, what do they want from me, and not really like tuning in to who I am and how I need to show up and how I need to express myself and my own individuality. Yeah, that's a big one. The second P that she talks about is perfectionism, which I maybe struggled with perfectionism more and or more than the people pleasing. Let me know if you guys can relate. But the perfectionism is basically like when we're striving for perfection, and it can create a fear of failure, preventing us from taking risk and embracing growth opportunities. And I definitely feel this one in my bones. The idea of just not being able to make a mistake. I mean, wanting to have it right all the time, 100% of the time, and not wanting to show, weaknesses or cracks or the imperfections along the way. And I find it interesting. So I've just kind of started getting into human design, within the last year or so, couple of years. And as a manifesting generator, I have learned, ironically enough, that my makeup is to learn and experience through trial and error. And so the irony is not lost on me that I cannot be a perfectionist because I have to move through life through the trials and the errors. Like, that's how I flow and how I inspire and grow and learn and need to live. So no wonder I was struggling so badly with the perfectionism and really just kind of stunting my own growth and expertise by not allowing myself to be imperfect. And I'm so thankful now that I don't have to hold on to that idea of like where my worth is on the perfection scale. So that's the second P that she talks about. The third one is paralysis. And this one has to do with overcoming the fear of making mistakes, which is crucial for professional, personal development. It can hinder progress and limit innovation. And I can so relate to this too. I mean, it almost like it goes hand in hand with the perfectionism, like the paralysis, the fear sometimes is so great that you just don't even move. And I was literally just having a conversation the other day with my mentor and basically saying to her, like, I am now to the point where the fear, if the fear is going to exist anyway, you know, when I'm doing something new or when I'm doing something out of my comfort zone or if I'm learning something new, I have spent, I don't want to say wasted, but I've definitely spent a lot of extra time, maybe that I didn't have to, not moving because of the fear. And I was just telling her, I think I'm finally to a point, hallelujah, that I can see that I just want to move through it irrelevant of how the fear feels. If I'm going to be fearful whether I do it or whether I don't. So I'd rather just be fearful and do it and prove to myself that I can do whatever it is, or, you know, face that next challenge or whatever, whatever is like holding me back. So the fourth P that she talks about is procrastination. And this is basically like delaying action on ideas or projects which stem from a fear of not measuring up or holding back your potential achievements. And I can definitely relate to this too. The idea of just limiting myself and almost like giving a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I'm already like predicting that it's not going to work or I'm not going to be successful in whatever it is. So I just procrastinate and I just delay all of it, and then I don't do anything. And this is a really shitty place to be in. So we're not doing that anymore. We're moving on through this. So if you recognize any of these in yourself, I mean, there have been times that I definitely have. You are not alone. Like I said, I could not believe that the statistics are kind of showing that about 70% of people will experience this or feel these feelings of imposter syndrome at some point in their life. And to me, that's crazy that there are so many of us having that kind of like internal battle of, you know, are we frauds? Is this all just self-doubt? Who are we? Who am I to show up here? Who am I to, you know, say anything or teach or inspire? It's crazy to me. But what we can do if we are feeling this way is have some self-awareness. Recognizing these patterns in ourselves is the first step. If we acknowledge these tendencies, then we can at least proactively address them, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, the self-awareness is everything, isn't it? Like, if you understand what is happening and you understand that it is something that you can challenge and move through, then at least you have the opportunity to do that instead of just letting it control you and win. The next thing that you can do is cultivate a growth mindset. So embrace the idea that learning and growth come from experience and not just success. We can celebrate our progress. We're not just celebrating perfection. Like, it's about the progress. It's about the journey. It's not about being perfect and, not having any falls along the way. Can also build a supportive network. So surround yourself with mentors and peers, friends, maybe support groups, with people who understand the challenges of this and who can provide guidance and encouragement and support. That was huge for me. Like, I am so thankful that I did not have to go through this alone. I mean, I sat in this for being alone for a long time before I outed myself. I did not want to out myself. I did not want to be vulnerable and let anybody in on the fact that I didn't think I was doing that great, and I thought I was kind of a fraud, and I had all this self-doubt, and I didn't trust myself to show up for myself. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me. But once I found a group of women who could hold that space for me and say, you know what, I feel the same exact way, or I have had to move through that too. Oh my gosh, haven't we all been there? Or I definitely experienced that right when I was starting my business too. That was such a relief, and it was so nice to know that I was not alone, and that, okay, this person is proof of moving through and getting to the other side, and so can I. So I would love to, help hold space for you, or just be in support with you if you're struggling with this right now. I get it, and I'm here for you. The next thing that we could do if we're feeling like we're really in this imposter syndrome mess is setting realistic goals. So taking any large goal that you have and just breaking it down into manageable steps, and reducing the overwhelming pressure and fostering a sense of accomplishment. So now what I do is kind of journal and to-do list with this too. If I have a goal, or if there's something I want to produce or something I'm working on, break it down. Break it down into identifiable, achievable, realistic goals for myself, and take action. So don't just sit, but actually show up and do what I say that I want to do. Can also embrace the imperfection. So we're human. We're not perfect. Can embrace the mistakes and look at them as learning opportunities and as experiences and stepping stones toward the success. So, think about all the really, really successful people that you know. And I bet if you ask them, how many times did you fail, they would have a laundry list of examples of what didn't work, or what they tried that they pivoted and they switched and they did this and they tried this and that they learned that this would have been a better route and they added this and implemented this. I mean, that's the key, is to be able to embrace the imperfection and learn and not judge yourself. Allow yourself to be human, and allow yourself the opportunity to have a flaw and to be imperfect, because it makes you relatable, and people like that because it's real. So I think that kind of really lends us to basically like your authenticity is your greatest asset. Nobody can take that away from you. I mean, anybody can do what you're doing, or you can do what 100 other people are doing, but nobody's going to do it like you. Nobody's going to show up like you, because you are the only you. Like, you're the only unique you. You can celebrate your achievements, your uniqueness, and know that you are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So I love this. I love seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for this, because, man, when you're in it and it's heavy and you're like, I've got, who's going to believe anything that I say? Who's going to want to, take this course from me? Who's going to want to work with me? Who's going to want to take this yoga class with me? Blah, 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 blah. It's such an empowering thing to be on the other side of that, and to know that anytime that I do have the moments of the imposter syndrome creeping back in, that I've got all of these tools that I can revert back to move through, my feelings, and can get back to being human. So, yeah, there's that. Let me know what you guys think, and I would love to hear your stories. If you related to something, or if there was something that you connected with, you can find me on Instagram at Rachel Lauren Stone, or you can connect with me through my website at www.rachellaurenstone.com. But I'm here for you. Don't go through this alone. I'm here for you. I get you. I validate you and your experience, and I have definitely walked through this one. So just know, if I can get on the other side, you can too. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.